Hello and welcome back to another Space Engineers mod showcase video. In today's video we're taking a look at something fairly obvious if you're looking in the background, and that is rotors. Yes, just plain rotors is the name of this mod, and it adds in quite a lot of interesting blocks. So what we get is basically a bunch of, I'd like to say, safer rotors, where you can do a lot more bigger and complicated stuff without risking the game just going no and blowing up. So what I have here is a bunch of rotors stacked onto each other, and you can change their directions. The larger one of the two, you can even walk straight through there, which is something that I've set up in the distance over there. We have a smaller version which fits on a large block, and then we have a small block one which is exactly the same like this, but for a small block ship. So if we come over to this bit over here, these are the blocks we get in this pack. But before I go any further, I just want to mention that this mod is very experimental, so if something goes horribly wrong, then that's why. But anyway, starting with this first block over here, this is the Advanced Rotor Ring Airtight. Now these are very cheap to build, to the point where I'm not even going to cover their costs because of how cheap they are. So the Advanced Rotor Ring Airtight is basically your starting block if you wanted to, say, make this on a ship, but keep it airtight for you to walk through. You simply place this down, and then the ring in the middle here is where you can build off, and it'll spin around like the regular rotor. This also means that you can have multiple sides on your rotor compared to the traditional one. I was to say come over to here and find the rotor. So the plain vanilla rotor is right here. You'd have to say build up one and then come across for it to spin around, and it'll get very wonky. If you were to say keep stacking it up and up and up, the game will just say no and bad things will start happening. So with this allows you to build off the four face sides quite easily. Now you can't just build a straight armored block from this side, no. Unfortunately it will get stuck on this corner here, so you will have to use something like a interior pillar. So if I find this and drag this down, you will have to use something like that, and then you can build straight off this without worrying about it ever hitting that corner block and stopping the rotation. But yes, that is what that one does. And then we come across to this next one, which is basically the same, but it's the Advanced Rotor Ring. You can place this, well, you can place this on a block provided you have somewhere to snap it on, so you can just snap it on like that and walk all the way through. But you don't have those little corner edges that make it quite neat when you attach it onto a large structure, but it's still there if you want it, and it behaves exactly the same. The one big difference between these two is you don't have the little corner blocks there, which do make it nice on a ship, meaning you can just go straight for a square block on the side and it won't stop it from moving when you start to spin it around. The next block is the Advanced Rotor Ring Head, which you don't particularly need to worry about, as that is that little bit right there where you can attach it. So you can just snap it on there if you wanted to, but you largely don't have to worry about this. You can simply ignore it. Next we come to the smaller version for the large block, which is the rotor centered. Yes, you can't walk through this one, unfortunately, it's all blocked off, but we still have our four snapping points that spin around in the middle. So we can then take our interior pillars and just snap it like that, build a block off it if you wanted to, and all that. And there's the head which falls out when you try and delete the block. The rotor extender is the next one. So this is basically if you wanted to build two of these on top of each other. These do not spin. You just pop it down like that, and then you can build another one on top if you wanted to do something like that. Number 6 is the rotor head. Like the other head, we don't need to worry about that, as that is simply for attaching it on if you wanted to and whatnot like that. Last but not least, we have got the small block, which I can't snap here, but it's the same as that one sitting right there where you had the four sides you can build off. So if you wanted to, I don't think I can actually snap that onto a small grid, no I can't. But yeah, you can just build off it like that, and it will spin around all good and proper. And then the last block is the head for that one, so if you ever lose your head, you can reattach it. So those are the blocks you get, and there's quite a lot of customization you can do with them. Unfortunately, you can't attach these onto each other like directly in the center, but you can attach them on the sides like that if you wanted to go really crazy with all these rotors. And you can ultimately end up with something like this. So these are rotors stacked on each other. We've got some airtight ones thrown in there. We've got some extenders on this one. And then we've got these standard little round ones going all the way. The settings themselves follow the same settings as the regular rotors. You can just change their direction and all that, change their displacement. If I was to come over to one of these panels and just find the rotors, there we go. All we got here is basically the torque, braking, velocity, lower limit, upper limit, and displacement. So it's exactly the same, and you can do a lot of customization, which is great, because the best part about this mod is the airtight blocks. Yes, the big advanced ones, because you can walk through them, meaning you can build a ship which has a spinning part through the middle, and it's going to be much safer than trying to use proper rotors and having them go all wibbly wobbly when you try and fly around, which is what I've done over here. So I set up 2 airtights on both sides and slapped 3 of the standard ones in the middle, and they're all rotating around. That one has stopped working and I'm not too sure why, but let's just ignore that one for now. So what this means basically is, like I said, you can build a ship out of these and have this go through the direct middle. So if you wanted to have a solar panel armor piece that spins around the main body of your ship, you can now do that. Because you can just walk up here, open up a door. Let's say I just put some passageways in here because I could. Let me just put my light on. And you can just walk through the rotors. And then you go to the opposite side. So you can just slap these in the very center of your ship and be on your way. And there we go. So what I've done is attached a bunch of solar panels just rotating around, and that sort of looks like a kind of nice ship idea. So we've got the solar panels just rotating around, giving us the power, and yeah, it's a pretty neat thing to do because it's still perfectly safe for me to walk all the way through. There's like no wibbling, there's no wobbling, it's all good. And we just come out the other side, and the solar panels will simply rotate around and around and around. You could even go even further than that by having heavy armor blocks rotating around, blast door parts going around just to give you protection from missiles and all that. You could go nuts with this. But that is basically it for this mod. It's an absolute fantastic mod considering it is experimental, and I can see this getting a lot of use in the future because being able to walk through these rotors mean that it's a lot safer to build these types of ships, and it also adds in a nice bit of flair to it. So yes, that is it for this video. I think I covered everything. Like I said, the costs of these are not expensive. It's just like 30 steel plates and a bunch of large steel tubes and motors and computers. It's nothing too bad, and I believe something just broke off there. But anyway, it will be in the description below if you wish to download and try it yourself. I highly recommend you do, because this is fantastic for large ships, especially space stations, because you can have a ring of solar panels just rotating around you while ships come in and dock. So thank you all for watching, and I'll be back with another video some point soon. Bye bye.